This is Nick Nilsson, Mad Scientist of Muscle, and what I've got for you today here is descending negative cluster training. Now, what you're going to do here to start with is work yourself up to about 95% of your 1 rep max. So for me right now, I've got 335 on the bar, and I did a single rep, which I'll show you right now. Here's what it looks like. Now, coming back from that, as you can see, this was a hard rep, but it wasn't completely a grinder rep, meaning that it's not a true 1 rep max, so you're getting about 95%. Now, what you're going to do, add 20 pounds to whatever you get here, about 10% of the weight-ish. This, for 335, that would be 35 pounds, but in this case, I'm just going to add 20 on here. So it's more like 5 to 7. What you're going to do here is unrack, come down very, very slowly into the bottom, fighting that weight all the way down. So as you're coming down, you're actively trying to squat the weight back up, but since it's more than your 1 rep, it's going to bear you down. Now, the trick here, do not drop the bar onto the rails. You want to actually set it very lightly down on the rails so it hardly makes any noise at all. When it gets to that point, you're going to strip 90 pounds off, 245s, get back under the bar, Anderson squat, all the way back up. Now, because of that, what I recommend is actually raising the rails up 1 notch from where you normally would have them for a full squat when you're doing this. It'll be easier to get under the bar that way. The other thing I would recommend is take 45 off, put your weights back on. So I'm going to put the 2 10s back on either side, then 45s back on, so I can strip those off very easily from the outside rather than peeling all the weight plates off. So come back up, re-rack, put the max weight back on, come back down into the negative squat. Now you're going to repeat this going continuously. The only rest you get is changing the weight plates. When you get to the point where you're coming down and you're kind of dropping from here down and you actually start to make some decent noise on the drop here, that's when you're going to reduce the weight by probably about 20 to 30 pounds. This is going to allow you to keep going. So we're going to keep going and doing this cycle, reducing the weight once you get to the point where you can no longer control it in the very bottom few inches of the range of motion. And you're going to do this for a block of time, whether it's 10, 20, 30, even 40 minutes, depending on basically how you feel and how erect your legs get. So if you're used to doing a lot of leg work, 20 to 30 minutes. If you're kind of starting out with this, 10 minutes might be ideal for you. It takes approximately about a minute to do 1 rep, go through the cycle, and then do the next rep. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Now I'm going to aim for probably 30 minutes when I'm doing this, and I'll show you the whole thing, but I'll speed it up. So here's what it looks like. I'll do the first few reps at regular speed, and then I'll keep going at faster speed. And yes, you are correct. The boots that I'm wearing are held together with Gorilla Glue and duct tape, so don't laugh too hard. Here's what the method looks like. that is the method. Now, what I did at the end of this is I actually completed a burnout set where I took my 225 that I was on after finishing at the 315 and started doing Anderson squats for as many as I could get. And then stripped another 90 off and as many more as I could get with just 135. Now at that point, your legs, your entire lower body will be so activated that you can really get your mind into the muscle. Like you can almost feel individual muscle fibers firing and working as you're coming up, even just with a very light weight. So I definitely recommend you give the burnout a try. I think you're gonna like it. How much weight you use, 2 drops, depends on how much weight you were using to begin with. For me, it worked out great, 315, 225, 135. So give this one a shot. It is fantastic for building strength in your lower body. And bottom line is sometimes you just need to get under the bar and do some work. And this is a great way to get in some heavy work with a squat.